Today, we're going to walk you through a demo of a survey management tool. So the first screen you see is an login screen. Once you sign in, you're greeted with a list of all your surveys. So you're able to see the status of those surveys, if they've been published, archived, or drafted. You are able to, from this page, go to create a new survey or go into view the responses of any of the surveys you've already published. But focusing more on just this Find survey page, there's a lot on screen, but we're going to walk through a few of the features. The first feature I want to focus on is the fact that you can switch from all these surveys to look at response to surveys. That's the surveys other people in the class have created. So if you're going to respond to them, you can see them at this page. You can also have the ability to search for specific surveys. You can choose the columns you want to focus on. You can enter a search text or a search query and actually search to filter out all the surveys from other people to just the ones you care about. From there, you also have the ability to hide some of these columns because this is quite a bit of information. You can add a few more columns you don't want to see and only focus on the ones you do care about. Aside from that, we also realize that there's this arrow here to highlight what we can sort on. So instead of sorting on survey ID, I'm now sorting on the type of survey this is. That allows us to see if we care more about solving our responses from the initial evaluation or need finding, we could do that, for example. Anyway, going back to the landing page, we are now going to go down the create flow. So when you want to create a new survey, you're greeted with this page, which gives you various ways to create a survey. One of which is to just drag the kind of question you want to the survey, as well as enter like generic details of the name and description. So if we drag like the multiple choice response, we're greeted with a page like this that allows us to see, oh, we have a multiple choice question, fill in the details we care about. Aside from that, we can also just add a new question by just clicking on one of them, and that creates like the entry into the list. So checkbox and so on. We can enter the details yet again. And from there, you can make a required question. We can also add another question. But from there, we can also see the fact that we can duplicate questions. And we have this nice indicator to tell you if a question has been duplicated. You can edit, duplicate, and delete questions. So to show deletes, we see that we have returned back to the prior states without the, the duplicated question. Aside from that, we also have the ability to preview. So there's a preview button right here. Clicking on it takes you to the preview page where you have a preview of the survey. That is what the respondents of your survey are going to see on the right panel and the questions you've created on the left. So that makes it very easy to gain instant feedback on the visuals of your survey. Going back to home again, then we can then look at the response flow. That is when you've gotten responses to one of your surveys. Yeah, greeted with this response page where you can download the data in any various formats, open in external tools like Google Sheets. For each question, you're given a visual summary of the question using this basic chart of the percentage of responses. And that works for both questions with binary or multiple choice answers. Finally, you can also expand individual responses if you want to see more details of who said what. So responder one said yes, responder two said no, and so on. We also have an analysis view where you can see more of like broader overviews of data. From there, you can see things like the charts you create. Charts, for example, we can see a summary of data from two different questions. We can see both the genre and the frequency of Spotify use. So genre from question two, frequency of Spotify use from question one. To create these kinds of charts, we have the settings page where we can add charts, we can duplicate charts and delete charts similar to create, and we can choose the kind of charts we want and the kind of data that feeds into the charts. So looking at charts two again, we can see that we chose question two as our main data source and we are segmenting by question one. And we can do as many of those kinds of charts as we want for our analysis tab. Anyway, returning back to home again, as we can see, this is a very powerful tool with a bunch of features. Thank you.